X, and we're going to include the fridge, the freezer, the cat, the dog, and we'll now turn it over to our lawyers. Never, ever, ever sign a zichron dvarim. Never sign anything pre-contractual. Every time I go to court, it's because my client has signed a pre-contractual agreement, not called me, but called me in the morning after he's done it, and said, I've got a deal for you, and because it's only an A4 piece of paper, and not everything's in there, there's then disputes about what we meant, what we want this, that, but you didn't say that, but it's not in there. If the person really wants to make the sell, he'll wait, and the lawyer will draft up a contract, he'll check the title, he'll check everything about the property needs to be checked, and you can do it properly. And if he can't wait, then it's not meant to be, and you'll find another apartment. The estate agent is not allowed by law to draft up a zichron dvarim. The next thing is to ask the estate agent the size of the apartment. Okay? Just so you know, that's something you need to tell your lawyer. You say the estate agent said the property is 80 square meters. Your lawyer will then check the title and say, hold on, you just told me that it's 80 square meters, but on the title, it's only 50 square meters. That already means I've got red lights going, and it means that somewhere someone has actually extended something without planning permission. There's a legal building, there's building violations somewhere. Now, some people are quite happy to buy properties with building violations, others aren't. And depending on the person, depending on the counsel they get and the advice the lawyer gives them, is if they're happy to do it. Certain circumstances, I would say go ahead and do it, it makes no difference. Others, I would say don't. It's always a risk. Personally, I would never ever do it, because you can't sleep properly. I wouldn't be able to sleep properly at night.
What do you mean you take it down?
You can take it down, but then you're paying a price for a property without what you saw.
No, but there is a thing, if you bought it and some company can force you to take it down.
Correct. They can. It's complicated.
Right.
And it depends again where you are. If you're in Modi'in, Jerusalem, it's one story. If you're in Bet Shemesh, it's another story. It depends on the area, it depends on people you know, it just depends. The next thing is use the estate agent. Don't take the price he gives you. Whatever price he's given you is inflated. Okay? He sees you're English, he sees you're a tourist, you're a Hadash, no problem. Tell him I'm not paying it. Go down 50,000 shekels and see what his reaction is. And tell him to go and negotiate the price. You're paying him 2%. You're paying him more than your lawyer. He might as well go and do some work. Okay? And don't be embarrassed to negotiate his plea. 2% is a lot of money, and most of them will go down a little bit. Never ever use the same lawyer. It's very nice. People say that we found a lawyer, come to my lawyer, he's great, he'll do the contract, he'll do the transfer of title, he'll be cheap for us, we'll save money, everyone will be happy, no problem. Do not do it. Everything's all nice and happy until there's a dispute. What's the lawyer going to do? Who's he going to represent? He's taken money from you, and he's going to represent the other guy. There's a clear conflict of interest. The Israel Bar Association has time and time again said it is not right to do it. It is a conflict of interest for a lawyer involved, and you shouldn't be party to it. Okay? Take into account when you're buying a property, you are hiring your own lawyer. It doesn't matter how much it costs you. It doesn't matter how much you're going to save. You have your own lawyer who represents only you, who interests you, and is going to do the work that you want him to do. He's going to take instructions for you. It's just really not worth it. Again, I did it once before the regulations came out. It's a recipe for disaster. I've never done it again, never want to do it again. Okay, so what's the job of the lawyer in this that represents you? You're paying him a percent plus the VAT. His first job is to check the title, see that it actually belongs to the seller. And his job is to see if there's any mortgage on the property, to see if there's anything irregular, any easements, any future plans. That's his job to report back to you. His next job is to check the planning permission. If you're telling him that there's an 80 square meter apartment and the title only shows 50 square meters, we need to see what's going on. It's very easy. First of all, the seller, 9 times out of 10, knows if there's a building violation, and 9 times out of 10 will actually tell you. When he doesn't, it means that the lawyer has to actually leave his office and go down to the municipality and take out the files and check the actual files to see if there's planning permission. Again, some people it bothers, some people it doesn't. Depending when it was built, when they did the violation, is what I'll say. If the statute of limitations has run, there's one risk. If the statute of limitations hasn't run, there's different risks. And again, I'm not going to go too much into that now because I don't want to bog you down. The next thing is we need to check the balance of the mortgage of the seller. If he's selling you a property for $100,000 and his mortgage is $80,000, $90,000, and on signing he wants 30 or 40,000 in his pocket, then how's he going to get the money to pay off his mortgage, or move his mortgage, and make your property clean? He's not. So what we do is, we check the balance of the mortgage, and we say to them, listen, the first amount of money is going to pay off your mortgage, to move your mortgage, I don't care if you haven't got money, whatever. On the other hand, if we got a property which is $1 million, and the mortgage on the property is only $100,000, there's more space to play with. We can give the seller $200,000, because we've still got plenty in our pocket to pay off his mortgage. Again, it's just something to be aware of. The payment schedule. The issue of the payment schedule is very, very difficult for people who don't live in Israel to consume and to digest. The issue is like this. So in England, what happens is, you see your property, you pay for it, get the key, get the title, everyone's happy on one day. In Israel, we like to spread things, we like to make things a bit difficult, and it's not done like that. So a typical payment schedule is going to be something like this. Again, it depends on the seller, where he's moving to, how much money he's got, how much the mortgage is, but I'm just going to give you the average. You give somewhere around about 10 to 15% on signing the contract. Let's say we'll sign on the 1st of January, and the completion date is June. So we'll give the first 10-15% on signing the contract. The next payment will be in June, and that'll be a major payment. And that'll be the payment where I say I'm giving you money, but you have to move your mortgage off the property, so that when I get my key, your mortgage is off the property, and my property is clean apart from my mortgage and my cautionary notes.
Could I just ask, in this country, the person who actually, the seller's mortgage has nothing to do with you. If you sign a contract that he says the property, and it is basically between him and the particular building.
So in Israel it is to do with me, and it's to do with the lawyers and the buyers, because we want to make sure that the seller's going to move his mortgage off. What would happen if the seller keeps his mortgage on the property, and we go and get our key, and the seller hasn't moved his mortgage off? There's a mortgage on your property, not on the seller. It's not a personal mortgage, it's on the property. The seller may owe the money, but you can't do anything with your property. So we like to clean it off before. Okay?
Yes.
So we have 10-15% on signing. The major payment would be in sort of March, which is midway between January and June. And that's the major payment. We get rid of the mortgage. There's a whole mechanism how it's done. I'm not going to bore you now with that, but your lawyer will be aware of how to do it. Depending exactly what the seller's doing, if he's moving his mortgage to another property, or if he's paying it off, is what your lawyer will sort of have to cope with and advise you how it's done. And then when you get the key, that's when we pay the final payment. Some of that money will go into a trust account, which I'm going to go on to later on. The next job is to review your contract to make sure you guys understand exactly what's going on. After all, you know, some of you will be here, not in Israel, and you'll feel a little bit detached. Your lawyer's job is to make you feel comfortable when you're parting your money, you're getting a property, and everything's going to be okay. So that's a major job of the lawyer. The next thing is, once we sign the contract, we don't get a key, and we've given them money, and we haven't got the property. So the day after, the lawyer has to go to the land registry, or the registrar of liens. Registrar of liens, he was Rasham Hamashkonot, or the Tabu, okay, as everyone, which is the land registry, and you put a cautionary note on. The job of the cautionary note is to show other parties that this property has been sold, get lost, it's mine, thank you very much. The next thing is that the lawyer has to ensure transfer title. Now, the transfer of title is something which is very dear to everybody, but it takes time. It doesn't happen on the day when you get the key, doesn't happen on the day after the key. It can take up to a year in some complicated areas. But what have we got in the meantime? We have got the cautionary notes, and we've got physical possession, and your lawyer will also have another key document in his hand, which is called an irrevocable power of attorney. The job of the irrevocable power of attorney is like this. When we sign the contract, the seller signs a power of attorney, which is irrevocable, to my benefit, in my favour, and basically what happens is his lawyer holds it in trust. His lawyer will then transfer it to me when we've made the last payment. Once you've paid the last shekel, that document gets transferred to me, which means if the lawyer then goes to New Zealand or the Cayman Islands and doesn't have any interest, or doesn't want to sign documents to transfer the title, I could use this document in the land registry and transfer the title to you.